Well, without a doubt, the Indianapolis Colts have been one of the surprise teams in the league this season. Last year, they finished with the worst record in the NFL, picked #1 overall in the draft, selected Andrew Luck, and that has paid immediate dividends because they're now 9-4 through 13 games, and Luck is carrying this team. I mean, Indianapolis has a bad defense, 22nd in the NFL in total defense, 23rd in points allowed. They can't run the ball. The only thing they really do well is pass the football, and they do that very well. 8th in the NFL in pass yards per game right now. Luck throwing for 276 yards per game. Now, I know it's not perfect. Luck turns the ball over sometimes. He has to throw the ball so much, he's bound to make some mistakes, and he does. Nearly every game, you see 1 or 2 rookie mistakes from this guy, maybe more. Thing is, he usually makes up for it in the end. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago when they beat the Detroit Lions, Luck 30 incompletions and 3 interceptions in that game, but 390 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, including the game winner. I mean, he makes up for it. They've come from behind repeatedly, and here they are going on the road to face the Houston Texans, 9.5-point underdogs on BETDAQ, 48 the total in this game. Houston has been great this year for the most part, 11-2, tied with Atlanta for the best record in the NFL, but they were blown out last week by the New England Patriots. And more worrisome, I think, to Houston fans is the fact that not just last week, but over the last month, this secondary has showed some serious holes. I mean, they're 19th in the NFL in pass defense right now. They've steadily been slipping. At one point this season, they were top 5 in pass defense. Still a good defense overall, despite allowing 42 to New England last week. They're still 6th in points allowed. But I think last week's game changed everybody's perception of this Houston Texans team. Prior to that game, many people throughout this year had pointed to Houston as maybe the best team in the NFL. But how do you say that about the team we just saw against the Green Bay or against the New England Patriots get beat 42-14? Certainly didn't look like the best team in the NFL. The secondary appeared very vulnerable, as we said. Matt Schaub might not be good enough. I mean, let's face it, to keep up in a shootout type of game with an elite quarterback like Tom Brady. And Andrew Luck, even though he might not be elite yet, he's already shown in his NFL career he's very comfortable playing a shootout type game where it's all dependent on him and his passing. Now, Houston's going to try to make sure it's not that type of game on Sunday. Houston's strength is running the football. Indianapolis has trouble stopping the run. And I do expect Houston to establish that run game with Arian Foster here. If they can force Andrew Luck into a couple of turnovers, this one could get ugly. Houston is a 9.5-point favorite. When I first saw this line, I thought it was too many points. You know, the Colts, the type of team they've been this year, they've shown they're resilient. They keep fighting. 3 times this year already, they've come from 12 points behind or more and won the game. So, I mean, if you're betting on Houston here, you really can't ever feel comfortable, even if Houston has a 20-point lead. But the more and more I looked at this game, I really come all the way around to the other side on it. You know, Indianapolis, when they lose big. 3 out of their 4 losses this year have come by 20 points or more. And the Houston Texans, I feel like, well, obviously they're a lot better than they showed last week, but I feel like they're really going to want to show people they're a lot better than the team they looked like last week. They've been elite throughout most of the season, and Indianapolis is worse on both sides of the ball. They're worse on offense. They're worse on defense. They're playing in Houston. Houston obviously very familiar with the Colts, their division opponents, even though this is the first time they've played this season. I feel a Houston route coming here. And even though I understand an Indianapolis angle, as we mentioned, Houston has been playing worse in the secondary. Indianapolis passes the ball very well. The Colts have shown the ability to score points and come from behind this season. I don't know. I think a more likely outcome here is a Houston blowout win. Another bet you might want to take a look at is the over. These offenses both very good, as we talked about. 48 is the number here. The over is 4-1 in Houston's last 5 home games and 18-7 in Indianapolis' last 25 road games. So over might not be a bad idea here. I do lean towards Houston minus 9.5.